Welcome to another episode of Sanford Says. My name is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer for the City of Sanford. And today we have another special guest with us, a city staff person, and his name is Mike Cash. Mike Cash is the Public Works Engineer. Hi, Mike. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
And Mike is here today to talk to us about the City of Sanford's Georgetown Improvement Plan, which has a lot to do with a lot of everything, right? You're a city engineer,
yes.
Mike, and so this was just announced at the couple of commission meetings ago, and that's why we are bringing this to you as just to share and break down some of the details about this improvement plan. And it's just another project here that the City of Sanford Public Works Department is responsible for, and for improving lives of our residents in the City of Sanford is the ultimate goal. So, Mike, take it away. What was the history of this Georgetown Improvement Plan, and sort of like how did it come to be?
There's actually multiple items going on. We have a drainage system out there. We call it the pump branch system. The pump branch system's over 100 years old. A lot of the inlets and pipes are in a state where they're ready to be repaired. So what we're actually looking at doing is going in and constructing an alternate main branch. And at the same time that we're doing this work, we're going to improve all the streets, put curb and gutter in, and put in sidewalks where we need sidewalks. We may still have swales because there's some issues with some of the older homes actually being built level with the street. And if we put in 6-inch curb, that would actually block the flow of water from the properties into the roadway.
Excuse me, what is a swale?
A swale is a depression that runs parallel to the road.
Sorry, what is it?
A depression that runs parallel to the road that would carry the storm water whenever it rains to an inlet or a pipe end where it can enter our public system.
So it's very important.
Oh, very important, yes.
To have swales. And this particular area, Georgetown, does not have swales because
they have some swales. There's not a lot of swales. And frankly, nowadays we prefer to have gutters because gutters are concrete. They don't change over time like a swale might. If a car comes in and spins his wheels a little bit, that digs a little bit more of a hole out, and that'll hold water, and different things occur. People plant plants and tend to throw dirt in places that maybe they shouldn't.
Okay.
So that also will impact the swale, and sediment running out of the yards will fill up the swales too. So swales are more of a maintenance issue than a curb and a gutter would be. So we're going to go in and we're going to replace a lot of the swales with curb and gutter, but we can't do all of them because there are some places where the curb just won't work with the existing homes, and we don't want to flood them out by building curb along the street. We're also going to install sidewalks. The same streets that we go down with our drainage systems, we will install sidewalks before we finish up.
And so the history of this is because this is first of all, we're a historic city. And did you say 100 years?
It's over 100 years.
Over 100 years, the infrastructure in that part of Sanford.
In that part of Sanford, yes, ma'am.
And so there are other areas in Sanford. Why Georgetown? Why the project in this particular location?
There's an equity issue that the city needs to address, and as we do a project, say for instance, we recently did the project on 1792 where we pulled out a lot of the old driveways and cleaned it up and put in some brick and things like that. We did Sanford Avenue a few years ago. We did historic Goldsboro Boulevard a couple years ago. So we've recently been out working in Hidden Lake, putting in swales and new gutters and things like that out there as well, new sidewalks. We got a project right now going on in Country Club where we're fixing to start putting in sidewalks out there as well. So it's an equity thing. Every part of the city needs to have its attention at some point, and right now we're focused on this project. This is actually quite a large project compared to some of the others we're talking about because things are so old out there, they need to have more attention
Yeah.
now before it gets to the point where they're not working anymore.
And for those listeners who may not know where Georgetown specifically is in our city, it's in what area?
I would say the western boundary would be Sanford Avenue. The northern boundary would probably be Third Street. The eastern boundary would be maybe Willow or Mellonville, and then the boundary going to the south would probably be Celery Avenue.
All right. And so this is funded by and through.
This is what your stormwater fees pay for. We're using the stormwater reserves to get this work done. We had to break it up into phases over multiple years in order to pay, because it's almost $10 million we're spending here, and we can't spend that all in one year and in one place. So this first phase, just to give you an idea, the first phase starts at the lake because obviously we're putting in a new trunk line, a big pipe. We're starting at the lake, we're crossing the park.
Park meaning Fort Mellon area?
Fort Mellon
Okay.
Park, yes ma'am. We're going a little ways down First Street and then coming up Locust and then to 4th Street. And then we're going east on 4th Street and we're going to come up Orange Avenue to about 8th Street. And then 8th Street, we're going to go all the way just about to Mellonville.
Okay. And it starts when?
Well, the first phase of any project is design.
Oh, okay.
And design is what we actually took to the commission last month, got that approved. So the consultant for the city has started doing the design plans for what we've agreed to. There was a study done. We looked at the study. We had several options, and we actually even took those options and kind of modified those to address some specific issues that we're aware of that maybe the consultant wasn't. We know we have a bad flooding problem near Mellonville on 8th Street that we needed to address. It's not in Georgetown specifically, but it's close enough, and it's part of all of our systems are fairly taxed. When you look at stuff that's been in the ground as long as it has, the kind of development we've had over the years, pretty much everything as you get closer to the lake, pretty much everything that carries water is maxed out. So this is a separate, brand new trunk line. Will actually take a lot of water off of the pump branch system, the old pump branch system, and it will take a lot of water off of the Mellonville system as well.
Now, when you talk about the pump branch, does that have anything to do with the new stormwater pond that was put in at Park Avenue and like 20th?
Ultimately, I think it's connected, but it's not directly connected. But yes, it is part of that stormwater pond. Frankly, is more tied to the Mellonville system than it is to the pump branch system.
Does it have to do with what quadrant of the city, so to speak, we're talking about, like Pump Branch versus the Mellonville branch, and or is it divided up like that? Those branches serve parts of the city.
Yeah, exactly. There's a base. We call them basins, and a basin, if you want to think of it as you got a high point. And at the high point, water breaks two ways. It goes, or multiple ways, but it goes one way, and we use the high points to designate where the limits of the basin are. And anywhere we collect water within that basin, it becomes, a lot of tributaries that feed into a main flow, and that main flow is the pipe system that we call Pump Branch.
I see.
So the pump branch already goes out to the lake, already goes underneath the park. This will be we'll call it a parallel system, but it goes a little bit further east than what Pump Branch originally did, but it takes a lot of water off of the eastern side of Pump Branch, so that Pump Branch will actually work better when this is done, because a lot of the stress that it was under will no longer be there. A lot of the places that were part of its direct basin will now be part of this system's basin.
And because Sanford's so close to this Lake Monroe, like that we border at a lot of the communities in our city. So is that why when you speak of these trunk systems and the branch basins because we're so close that they flow into the lake? If we were in a city on the lake or near a body of water, would that water be going somewhere else and this system be completely different? Or is Sanford unique in how we are doing, for instance, this improvement plan? Does that have anything to do with it?
I won't say we're unique in that.
Okay.
Pretty much the state of Florida, kind of the state drainage people, which would be your water management district, they kind of break it down into either a system that is connected to the ocean ultimately, or is not connected to the ocean ultimately.
Okay.
So our system, for the most part, is connected to the ocean. It gets to the St. Johns River, which ultimately gets to the ocean. A closed basin would be something like the Twin Lakes over by the interstate down 25th Street, which the Twin Lakes don't outfall to any other basin. They're a closed basin. So
Okay.
it's unusual to have a closed basin here because we are so close to the river.
I see.
Places like, take for instance, Ocala. Ocala has a lot of closed basins, but
Yeah.
they're not really close to any river or anything like that they can drain your water to that's connected ultimately to the ocean.
So where does that water go then?
It
Do you know?
percolates into the ground. Thankfully for them, they're way above their aquifer, whereas the drawback to being this close to the river, which I'm sure all of our citizens know, is you have a high water table. So the
Okay.
water infiltrates much more slowly, tends to stand on the ground longer,
I see.
and it's just a result of being this close. Now you go to Deltona. Deltona's a big sand hill. You couldn't get water to stand out there in most places if you tried.
Oh, good.
It's
Interesting.
It's very what's the word for it? Porous.
And that's so close to us. That city is right around
It's,
the corner, yet
yep.
it's completely
Different geography, geology altogether. Yes.
That's interesting. Well, thanks for the science lesson.
No problem. No
Mike.
problem.
So, so then what can people expect? Like I said,
Well, it's not going to be fun, but construction never is. We will be trying to limit the construction zone to one area at a time. We will be excavating out to put pipes in the ground. We will be then, once the pipes are in, we have inlets that will go in.
Yeah.
The last part of it is restoring the road, the sidewalks, and the landscaping. So, when it's all said and done, you'll have a beautiful, complete street with sidewalks, gutters, new pavement. It'll be nice, and we will landscape as we go, just like we do everywhere else.
Amazing what new pavement and asphalt looks like, what that can do to us. It's like a huge facelift. Just that itself makes the community, look so much more inviting, so to speak, and taken care of.
Yep. I think a lot of people will find that they have new driveways when we're done, because if we tear up your driveway in order to put in the pipe, we're going to put your driveway back for you when we're finished.
All right. So you said it's in the design phase, which means what time? Do you have a timeline?
My timeline, and I'm looking at it here. The design phase should be completed by the end of the year. So by December, we're hoping to have permits so we can start construction shortly after the beginning of next year. We actually did not budget any construction this year. Our budget for construction starts in the next year's budget.
And you did say this is
that's October 1st.
Yes, the new fiscal year for the city.
Right.
You did say this is an overall $10 million project.
The complete phase, I think, is $9.7 million.
Over how many years do you think?
I believe we've got it over from 2021 to 2025.
All right. Well, like you said, though, Mike, in the long run, this will be a welcome effort for welcomely received from our citizens that live there and our residents in the Georgetown community. So it's exciting news. The city is growing, and the taxpayers, or the residents, I should say, do pay when they pay their stormwater fees on their utility bills. It goes to great projects such as this. So we can correct. Is that fair to say?
That's every resident pays a stormwater fee. Every business pays a stormwater fee. This is what we do with your money. We maintain the systems we have as best we can, but we do find that those systems, as they age, they become problematic as far as maintenance is concerned. There are certain things we can fix, and then there are other things that are too expensive to fix.
Right. And then
So
what happens?
it's easier then to put in a new system,
I see.
and that's what we're doing right now.
In this particular area.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're still do things with the pump branch. We've talked about lining the pipes and things like that. So there are maintenance things we will do with pump branch as part of our regular budget. That wouldn't come out of this budget, but this budget will definitely attack all the new drainage, and it will improve the streets, the sidewalks, and give
Yeah.
curb and gutter where there has not been curb and gutter.
And that's important because the curb and gutter, like you said, that has something to do with flooding. It's not just for aesthetics, right? Or
Yeah, well,
there's
I
a
mean,
purpose for
it has an aesthetic value, obviously, but it
Right.
also carries a lot more water, a lot better than a swale does.
Okay.
Swales tend to, the leaves fall. You get a big pile of leaves in the middle of the swale. It's not going anywhere.
Uh-huh.
Curb and gutter we can keep fairly clean. We have street sweepers that run all over the street all the time, and we can keep the curb and gutter clean enough to where it'll function well. The water, once it's in our pipe systems, we keep the pipe systems clean, so that
Yeah.
means it moves out to the lake pretty quickly.
And this is in connection with the pump branch system.
Pump branch system and the Georgetown neighborhood. That's
Georgetown neighborhood.
That's our target.
Okay,
yes.
because we have a cloud branch.
Cloud Branch, we actually spent quite a bit of money on Cloud Branch. They finished phase 3 in 2019, I believe. Which included the pond on 8th Street by the park, and lots of improvements going down Laurel Avenue and maybe Oak Avenue. I'm trying to remember if it was Oak or maybe Elm even. But it crossed French Avenue at 10th Street. See, that's what I'm saying. When you start talking basins, they get tricky.
Yeah.
And it went all the way up to 25th Street, actually.
And so these were designed. You said, is this 100 years ago? Someone designed these, or they
you
just
say design? It's
not design.
it's kind of
They didn't have
misleading.
computers.
It's like the first guy said, we need a pipe from this
Here.
side of from this side of the park to the lake, and they put in the pipe. And then a guy on the other
Amazing.
side of the street says, we need a pipe to go from 3rd Street down to 1st Street. And they connected to the pipe that was already there because it was easier. So at some point they said, okay, this pipe's too small. We're going to build this seawall out here. So let's go ahead and put in a bigger pipe.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's all right. You're a busy man. Yeah.
So, they did upgrades to the system as needed. They expanded the system as needed, and it was more of a reactive thing. And this is
Yeah.
actually kind of a reactive thing, too.
Yeah.
We know we need this new system in order to make everything work there.
Yeah, but this will take the city far into the future.
Oh,
All
yeah,
of
that
these
was
great
the whole idea of building a new trunk line. We won't have to really revisit this for, let's hope, 100 years.
Yeah, another 100 years. They'll be talking about us, right, Mike? In a
Yes, ma'am.
podcast in 2121. I don't know. Well, this is some interesting information about what, for instance, Public Works does and what you do as an engineer for the city of San. So your role was to how were you involved
we
in
worked
this?
to identify the areas that we needed to address. We did use a consultant to come up with some alternative solutions that they felt worked for us. We did then work with the consultant to kind of modify those solutions to bring them more around to what we needed to do with our system versus what they wanted us to do with the system. So
Okay. Well, anything else, Mike, that we'd like to share with the listeners that have spent almost 20 minutes with us talking about swales and
as always, when it
pump
comes down to construction, please be patient.
That's a good
it will
point.
eventually be over, but it's going to be a pretty good while, and you're going to find out that you have to detour around some streets at times. There's going to be times when maybe it's your driveway that's tore up, and you might have to park somewhere, a little bit off from where you normally park, or pull in somewhere where you don't normally pull in.
Yeah.
But be patient. There is an ultimate goal that will be a lot better than what you're looking at now.
Yep. Improving the city of Sanford.
Yes, ma'am.
For the future. All right. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
on the show. That's Mike Cash, Public Works Engineer, who happens to be born and raised in Sanford, right,
Yes,
Mike?
ma'am.
You've been here almost all your life. And I know you're a Navy veteran, too, fellow veteran.
Yeah.
So thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, this is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer for the City of Sanford. You're listening to Sanford Says, and you can subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also access it on our social media and our website at sanfordfl.gov. Thank you for listening and being interested in your local government and how we serve you each and every day. Thanks again. Be safe out there. Until next time, see you later.
Bye.